Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatani. So we will discuss now mantra 3. So how living in disharmony with its harms, that the harms, but harms our engagement in according to the Isavasya principle. So we'll first read the verse. Asuya nama te loka andena tamasavita tamste petya bigatshanti yeke chatma anojana. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, he must enter into the planets known as the vaults of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. So, this verse is a warning. If one lives in a soul-killing way without awareness of one's spiritual nature, without taking care of spiritual responsibilities, one will go into further ignorance in the future and suffer. So living without awareness of one's spiritual nature is living in a soul-killing way. So we have here the overview of the purport of Srila Prabhupada for each paragraph. Who is a demon? Who is a soul killer? Liberate the soul, don't kill it. If we don't use higher facilities of human form, then we have to live worse than animals in this life and go to hell in the next. Even failure in liberating the soul brings glorious results. What then to speak of success? Paragraph 5. Modern politicians as demons. 6. Solve all problems forever. So what is an asura? Who is a demon? So Srila Prabhupada first explains that asura means one who is demoniac. Etymology studies the origin of the words. It explains the meaning of the word and how the meaning has been constructed. Like you have the word lexicographer. A grapher means to write. Lexico means dictionary. A lexicographer is a person who writes a dictionary. So in some cases the etymological meaning may not be historically precise, but rather semantically precise. It may not be exactly the way the words have been formed in the history, but from the meaning point of view, they are illustrating the meaning very well. So asura means asu. Asu means to breathe. And ra means to enjoy, from ramante. It said in the Bhagavad Gita, gata sun sa cha. Gata asun. That's one who has life air has gone away, and one who has life air has not gone away. So a wise person does not lament for either of these situations. Asu means life air, ra means to enjoy. So asura, that means one who enjoys the life air. The life air is in the body, one who wants to enjoy the body. one wants to enjoy the body in a sensual way is an asura. Asura. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, those who are cognizant of the responsibilities of human life and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities and we have no information of them are called asuras, demons. So the suras are just the opposite. So who is an asura? Asura is not just a species, but also a mentality. So chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita gives a description of the demonic nature. The Rakshasas in the Ramayana have terrible forms, but in the Mahabharata, the battle is between human beings but there are Rakshasas on both sides. So in the Mahabharata, Duryodhana is a demon. Being a demon refers to a mentality. Who is a demon? All of us have the demoniac mentality in us. If we let us become overwhelmed by this mentality, then we become demons. Demons often go to the lower planetary systems. These are the places where demons go. But then Srila Prabhupada speaks about Atmaha. That of course, yes, this Atmaha, it's a figurative expression. Because the first lesson we learn in Bhagavad Gita is that the soul cannot be killed. 2:17 Bhagavad Gita. Avinas tu tat vidis yena sarvamidam tatam Vinasamapyayasya nakachit kartum arati. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy this imperishable soul. So Krishna says in 2:17 the soul cannot be killed. And in 16:21 he states Trividam narakasyedam dvaram nashamatma kamakoda tataslobas tasaivatyam tret. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. These 3 gates destroy the soul. So the Lord says that the soul can never be destroyed, and in 16:21 he says that lust and anger destroys the soul. So Krishna is speaking in a non-literal sense. The killer of the soul means the killer of spiritual consciousness. Lust arouses from body consciousness and kills spiritual awareness. I have here a whole explanation about direct literal meaning and non-direct literal meaning in scriptures, but I don't think we have to go into that very deeply. There are all the different levels of meaning in the scriptures, and that Srila Prabhupada makes that point. The house on the river, that we know the house is not in the river, it's on the river bank. That it's on the bank of the river. So Atmaha, the word here should not be taken literally. Atmaha means to kill our spiritual awareness, the spiritual consciousness of the soul. That now further, that scientific advancement has changed the form, not the purpose of activities here. So animals may judge on refuse in a garbage pile, whereas humans may titillate their tongues with processed packaged food. Animals may mate in the middle of the street, whereas humans may cultivate erotic fantasies through magazines, television, movies, and internet before indulging in carnal revelry. It has changed the form but not the purpose of the activities. So animals, they may sleep on the hard street, whereas humans may sink into oblivion on a soft bed in an air-conditioned room. Animals may snarl and show their teeth, whereas humans may brandish weapons of mass destruction. So the essential pleasure of activity is the same. Humans do the same as the animals do. Most of the advancement comes from funding, defense, and consumer economy, eating, sleeping, and mating. We may have very high-class smartphones, but as human beings we are still doing the same as the animals. We are not crossing over the material ocean. The whole civilization is a soul-killing civilization, Srila Prabhupada writes. Atmaha refers to one soul-killing individual, but now we have a soul-killing civilization. I think the next slide. Because humans suffer more than animals. Animals don't die of starvation because of artificial shortages created by others of their own species. Animals don't suffer insomnia. Animals don't suffer heartbreaks because of betrayed love. Humans actually suffer more than animals. There are many surveys of famines. In each of the cases there was enough food in the country, but because of political reasons it was withheld. Despite of all technology, we are not eating as good as the animals do. The dogs sleep in the middle of the street. We are afraid of other human beings. Humans are in many ways worse than animals. Which animals has to do a course on stress management. We suffer from stress so much. Many fall to addictions. No animal smokes, only humans have these addictions. So animals do not commit suicide. Every year 1 million humans commit suicide. More people are killing themselves than those killed by others. There is something really wrong with our civilization. The reason is misusing the higher power for the lower. Srila Prabhupada's purport. There are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important as them as ours are to us. But the economic problems of these animals are solved under nasty and unpleasant conditions. For an animal, food can become its graveyard. They are in danger every moment. The high responsibility of the human being is spiritual inquiry. They are irresponsible if they do not use the human form for making spiritual inquiry. Human beings are suffering from obesity. So much suffering comes from using the body for animalistic pleasure. Because of eating too much, they have to go to the doctor. Many are getting diseases because they are engaged in sinful activities. The mentality that human life is meant for sexual pleasure is a deficiency of intelligence. In nature there is a perfect balance. Every species contributes to the ecology of the planet. Every extinct species causes imbalance in the ecology. Why is the contribution of humans to the ecology destructive? We need to contribute to the ecology on a spiritual level by living in harmony with the environment, by using the human body for spiritual environment, and not by exploiting the environment for sense enjoyment. We should go back to Godhead, not back to doghead. If one puts a little energy in spiritual advancement, then that advancement will be an eternal gain. So, in the purport, in Prabhupada writes, so in Bhagavad Gita 6:41-43, it is stated that a man who enters upon the path of self-realization does not complete the process, despite of having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God, is given a chance to appear in a family of Shuchi or Srimad. By simply attending to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family. So just attempting spiritual life gives us eternal benefit. But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkness regions of hell. They are living hellish now and will continue to suffer in the future. Even those who fail in spiritual life, they also enjoy heavenly pleasure, go to heaven, and then come back to earth to continue spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada's conclusion of Mantra 3. The conclusion is that as human beings we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of material life in which we have been placed by the laws of nature. So after some time we die and leave this material existence. It is a lost cause to solve all the problems of the world, as we will die soon. That the United Nations, the condition have only become worse. If we work only on a material level, then things become worse. Spiritual life is the best way to contribute to the solution of all problems of the world. So that is the third mantra. Any questions? We went to the entire section. The first section, invocation, mantra 1, 2, 3. So, Anandita, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Maharaj, I saw in one of the slides that you were explaining that Asura is not the species, it's a mentality. So I want little detailed elaboration on this.
Yeah, it's a mentality. It's not a species. That there are so many species, human beings. We have heard of Rakshasas and so on. But it's a mentality, and that mentality is described in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There the mentality of the Asura is explained. It is explained in the 16th chapter that Ishvaram Ambhohi, that I'm the controller of everything, and I'm the enjoyer. I'm enjoying so much, and this is mine, and this is mine, and I will gain more and more wealth in the future. And my enemies, I will kill my enemies, and I will give in charity and rejoice. So that is demonic mentality from the 16th chapter, the Bhagavad Gita. And that mentality is based on avoiding this Isavasya principle. Isavasya principle means everything belongs to God and is therefore for his enjoyment. For that's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the introduction. Srila Prabhupada describes the soul there as the cooperator. So we have to cooperate with Krishna. And that cooperation, the seed of that cooperation is in this Isavasya principle. Krishna is the owner, and we are there to serve him and to give him pleasure. And by connecting through devotional service, we become connected with the Nadini Shakti of Krishna, the spiritual energy, and we become joyful without interruption. And that is spiritual life. And that is the love we are hankering for. But the demons, they are never satisfied. They try to satisfy the body, which they are not. And it is insanity. So it's a mentality and we have to cast away this mentality to purify our heart. Now, in previous ages, it was more clear. Those who had the demoniac mentality and those who had the godly mentality, the divine mentality. But in Kali Yuga, we have all the demon, the Asura and the Sura in our heart. We are mixed. And we have to get out the Asura. And by performing devotional service, we purify our heart from the ignorance. Because the demoniac, they are going further and further into ignorance. That's what Krishna says into the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I throw them in lower species. Of course, they go lower until they become animals, and then they go up again. So it's not an eternal condemnation. Yes, Mother Rukmini.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Maharaj, the conclusion, the last paragraph of Mantra 3, the conclusion is that as human beings, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a toiletting platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature. Maharaj, I request you to please explain this once again.
It's at the end of which mantra? The third mantra.
Yes, Mantra 3, last paragraph, the conclusion is properly seen.
Yeah. Mantra 2. Yeah, I remember it also, but I want to read it again. The conclusion is that as human beings, we are not meant simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of material life in which we have been placed by the law of nature. So our human life is meant to attain liberation and go back to Godhead by developing love of Godhead. So that's the permanent solution. But many times we come absorbed in so many problems of life, economic problems, but these problems we cannot really solve. Because it is said in the Bhagavatam, in the first canto, Chapter 5. Tasheva itapayate tako pito nalapyate pramatam yaparyata talapyate dukava anyato skam kalina savatra Kabira Ramasa. This is Narada Muni speaking to Srila Vyasadeva. He said, one should seek for that happiness which is not available from the lowest to the highest planet. So seeking for spiritual happiness. What happiness and distress is concerned in this material world, it's already fixed. It's fixed. You cannot change it. That the happiness which is destined to you will come. That and the distress also. We don't want the distress, but still it comes. Nobody is free from distress. Nobody wants it, but it comes. In the same way, happiness comes. So we should not strive for these things. But when that becomes the goal of our life and we forget spiritual life, trying to get happiness for the body and the mind, that and thus happiness for our body and mind, happiness for extended for our family, for our children, and so on, or more extended, it becomes for our country and so on. Then we become absorbed in that. But that happiness has no value. But that does not mean that we should be passive and not doing anything. No. But we should strive for the necessities of life, what we really need, and not beyond that. Live a life of higher thinking and simple living. What we need for simple living, that we strive for, and that's mentioned here as our quota. We should get our quota, not beyond. If we go beyond, then we will hear that in next verses also. That will be discussed, that principle again. That to live simple and solve the problems of life, what you really need. We need nice food, nice clothing, a warm place to stay, and so on, the basic necessities. But beyond that, striving. And that is what Nectar of Instruction said. Don't strive. Don't over-endeavor for material things. Anyway, I think you know all these things. Good meaning. Anything else?
Maharaj, just wanted to ask that last line Prabhupada is saying, which we have in place by the laws of nature. Actually, I always find Ishwar nature very difficult to understand, because every line, Prabhupada, in other books it's very simple, but here, in like of nature, to teach the impersonalists, to make them spiritual. So Prabhupada use, so I always get confusedly. It is written material life into which we have in place by the laws of nature. So directly you explained it, but Prabhupada is writing.
Yeah, we are under the laws of nature, and that is what we discussed. That we get reactions of our activities, and a devotee accepts these reactions. If suffering comes, then a devotee is happy to suffer. Tatenu kam kam susamikshma bunchatme mapekte ritaf vivakam ritvak vavodir vidadana mastage vedyo mukti bade sadayabak. The devotee thinks, I'm suffering because of my past misdeeds. And that is what Krishna wants me to suffer. And it gives me only a token of the suffering. And I accept it. Then one becomes peaceful and the reaction stops. But if one does not accept one's suffering and start to fight against it, karma bandhana, you will again suffer that devotee understands this point. Yeah. I hope this helps. Mother Anandita, please.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for your answer. So, Maharaj, this demoniac mentality, is it so that only the humans possesses, and because in animals and plants plant species also we see the categories in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, is it for the human the demonic mentality, or does it exist in other species also?
That well, the human is a special category. There we have the freedom to choose and to develop our mentality as we desire. That also in higher species like demigods and so on. But the lower species of life, the animals, the birds, the trees, they are just undergoing the reactions of their past karma. They are not making new karma. That we are making new karma by developing these mentalities. Three kinds of mentalities. The demoniac, then we get suffering. You will suffer in the future. We develop a godly character, then we get good reactions. But then there is the option of becoming a devotee of Krishna. We're taking the spiritual path. And then one gets out of it. And that's especially in the human form of life. You have these options. In animal life and plant life, you just get the reactions. In the demigod life, you don't have the same options as human life, because there's too much sense enjoyment. You cannot get out of it. You remain in this problem-solving area, because there's always the problems with the demons and the fights and so on. Too much sense enjoyment to give up one's too much sense gratification. One cannot come out of it. Just the human form is very special. We have these options to become a demon, or to become a godly person, or to become a devotee, a spiritual person. In the lower species, you don't have these options. In the higher species, you have some options, but it's very difficult because of the enormous opportunities for sense gratification. Difficult to get out. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we'll stop here. Our time is over, and we will tomorrow start with the next section. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.